The village of Useh was a big, beautiful village enclosed in the mountains. Aside from being a beautiful village with a large population, Useh was known to be one of the villages with great hospitality. Unlike other villages that didn't allow non-indigens to settle in their village, Useh was open to people from different communities and villages. Because of her population, businesses boomed in Useh. Despite the competition in the market, farmers always sold all their farm produce. Hunters always sold all of their meats, and fishermen were sure they would sell all of their catch. In fact, there wasn't a day that people didn't sell all their goods or make a lot of money in Useh because of the large number of people that lived in the village. In a small village not too far from Useh, there was a woman named Ego. Ego was a food vendor in her village, but she barely had any customers to buy her food. Many times, Ego would cook a large quantity of food with the expectation that she would make sales, but at the end of the day, she would throw all her food away. On some days, in a bid to sell her food, Ego would go around begging people to come and buy her food at a discounted price. On some days, in the bid to sell her food, Ego would go around begging people to come and buy her food at a discounted price. But no matter how much she begged and called people, she would only make very little money. Things continued like that with Ego for many years until she was fed up with her inability to sell her food and her constant lack of money to pay her bills. When Ego got tired of begging people to even buy her food at a discounted price, she decided to relocate to the village of Useh because she had heard that businesses were booming there. The first day Ego arrived at the village of Useh, she was shocked at the number of huts and people living there. The number of people in Useh was 20 times more than the number of people in her small village. By merely seeing the number of people in Useh, Ego was convinced that she would make a lot of sales as a food vendor, and she began to make preparations to set up her food stand. Weeks after Ego settled down, she paid for the carpenters to create a food stand for her in a bustling area. Ego strategically picked that location because she was sure many people would come to her and buy her food. But days after Ego began to cook, things turned out differently than she planned. If at all people patronized Ego and tasted her food for the first time, they wouldn't buy from her again, even if she offered to give them a discount when they next returned. Already in the area, Ego had set up her food stand. She was not the only food vendor there. There were other food vendors in the area. However, since the village of Useh was very populated, Ego believed she would sell all her food despite the competition, but she was wrong. In the following weeks, Ego tried her best to cook different meals that were particular to the people of Useh, with the expectation that the people of Useh would patronize her regularly since she had cooked their native meals, but nothing changed. One time, Ego opened her food stand as early as 5 in the morning so she could beat her competition and sell food for the people who would leave home early for work. Despite doing that, Ego still made minimal sales. On some days, Ego would sell just 1 plate of food, and on a very good day, she would sell 5 plates of food, of which the money was barely enough. Meanwhile, while still struggling to make sales, Ego would watch as her competition sold out all their food, even cooking another pot of food so the customers could have enough. 2 months after Ego moved to the land of Useh, she decided to return to her village because things did not turn out as she had expected. On the day she was supposed to leave, Ego had a dream. And in that dream, she saw her late mother, who was once a successful food seller. Her late mother told Ego that for her to be as successful as she wanted, she had to start using a secret ingredient that would make her food very tasty and addictive. And that secret ingredient was no other but the wash water of corpses. Before this time, Ego had never seen her mother in her dream except when her mother had just passed away. So she knew it wasn't her mind playing tricks on her. As soon as Ego woke up, she pondered on that dream, and because she was very desperate to earn some money, she decided to give it a shot. That same day, Ego traveled to another village far from Useh. On getting there, she went to a mortuary and demanded for the wash water of corpses. Ego lied to the mortuary attendants that she needed the wash water for something else, but the attendants didn't actually care, so they filled a big container with the corpse's wash water and sold it to her at a costly rate. By the time Ego returned to the village of Useh, it was already evening. To see if what her late mother had told her in the dream was true, Ego prepared a small amount of soup that evening and poured a little amount of the corpse's wash water into the soup. A few minutes after Ego placed the pot of soup on the firewood, the aroma of the soup filled the air. Surprisingly, the minute the soup aroma filled the air, people began to come in their numbers to ask Ego about the kind of soup she was preparing. Ego was shocked to see all those people come to her food stand at once. At the moment she responded to them, they began to place their orders. For the first time in Ego's history of selling food, she sold out the pot of soup in less than 30 minutes. That night, everyone who tasted Ego's soup affirmed that they had never tasted such delicious soup in their entire lives, and they begged Ego to cook another pot the next day. That night, when Ego returned to her hut, she could not believe what had happened. She couldn't even sleep well because she was still in disbelief. The following day, Ego decided to go out and test the potency of the corpse's wash water again. This time, she decided to cook 3 big pots of jollof rice and a pot of soup, and she added the secret ingredients to all 4 pots. Like the previous evening, as soon as the aroma of her food filled the air, people began to go to her food stand in their numbers. There were so many that they had to form 3 long queues. And in less than an hour, Ego sold out all 3 big pots of jollof rice and her pot of soup. It was almost like magic because people who had been waiting at her competitor's stand left their stand to come and buy from Ego's stand. That day alone, Ego made more money than she had made in all the years as a food vendor. The money was so plenty that she had to hire someone to help her count it. Also, when Ego saw how much people loved her food, she was forced to hire people to help her in the kitchen the next day. Since Ego had sold out all 4 big pots of food, she made 8 pots the following day with the help of her staff and sold out everything. That day, The rumors of Ego's delicious food spread like wildfire in the village of Useh, and 50% of Useh's population decided to go and see if Ego's food was really delicious as people claimed. Because there were too many people, the 8 big pots of food prepared were barely enough to go around, and some people left without buying or tasting Ego's food. The following day, before Ego began to cook, the most shocking thing happened. People began to queue and wait for Ego's food so they wouldn't miss it like they missed it the previous day. Seeing all these things made Ego very happy, and she vowed never to stop using the corpse's wash water as her secret ingredient. Ego was also pleased that she had put her competitors out of business and stolen all their customers. Because of Ego's secret ingredient, Ego's competitors barely sold any food. The only time Ego's competitors got to sell their food was only after Ego had sold out all her food, and it continued like that for a very long time. In the following weeks, while the villagers of Useh continued to struggle and fight over Ego's food daily, no one knew that Ego had been using the corpse's wash water as her secret ingredient. In fact, no one knew that the reason the villagers were so addicted to Ego's food was because in the spirit realm, a dead person was blowing a whistle beside Ego's food stand, and each time the ghost blew that whistle, people would be drawn in their numbers to buy and fight over Ego's food. The villagers of Useh got so addicted to Ego's food to the extent that they stopped cooking in their homes. Husbands stopped eating their wives' foods, and children stopped eating their parents' food because they couldn't stop craving Ego's delicious food. At first, the other food vendors who sold food in the same area as Ego were not very concerned when they saw the crowd of people struggling to buy Ego's food. But when it happened every day and they realized that Ego had put them out of business right under their noses, they became jealous and suspicious. And they wanted to know the special ingredient Ego added to their food that made all the villagers so addicted. To get information about Ego's special ingredient, Ego's competitors even tried to pay Ego's staff for information, but unfortunately, none of them knew or saw Ego's secret ingredient. Whenever Ego wanted to add the corpse's wash water to her food, she would send her staff on an errand so they wouldn't see her. She did that all the time. Frustrated by their inability to get information from Ego's staff, Ego's competitors decided to watch Ego closely, even if it meant they had to do that under the guise of friendship. Months passed, and Ego's food business boomed extensively because of her secret ingredient. While Ego cooked many pots of food every day, she deliberately refused to eat or taste her meals because she knew what she had put in them. Since Ego's staff had successfully worked with Ego for months, they began noticing that she never tasted or ate the food she prepared. Instead of eating the food she sold to the villagers, she would prefer to buy food from one of her competitors, and her staff was slowly taking note. One day, one of Ego's staff, who used to work with Ego's competitors, decided to see why Ego always sent them away at a particular time. So she hid behind the kitchen, making Ego believe that she had joined the others to run an errand for Ego. Without checking if anyone was around the kitchen, Ego removed the corpse's wash water from where she hid it, poured a small quantity into all the pots of food, put it back in its hiding place, and stirred all the pots so the wash water could mix well. As soon as Ego's staff saw Ego's secret ingredient, she went straight to her former boss to report what she had seen, and with that, the two of them plotted how they would steal it. Since the corpse's wash water looked a little bit like liquid milk, Ego's staff was instructed by her former boss to pour out the wash water from the container and replace it with powdered milk mixed with water. The next day, Ego's staff did as she was instructed, and she replaced the corpse's wash water with milk. When it was time for Ego to add her secret ingredient to her pots of food, Ego sent her staff on an errand as usual. Without knowing that the corpse's wash water had been replaced, she poured the milk solution into all the pots and stirred very well to mix. That day, after the villagers of Useh tasted Ego's food, they complained bitterly about its horrible taste and refused to buy more. For the first time in a long time, Ego had to throw away 12 pots of food because people refused to even come close to her food stand. When that happened, Ego was worried. When she went to check if something was wrong with her corpse's wash water, her competitors ganged up against her and confronted her about using corpse's wash water to prepare her meals. At first, Ego denied doing such a thing. But when her staff who had replaced the corpse's wash water with milk brought out the original corpse's wash water she had stolen from Ego's hiding spot, the villagers confirmed that the liquid smelled exactly like corpse's wash water. As soon as Ego saw that the villagers of Useh had discovered her secret, she tried to outsmart them and run away from her food stand. But the angry villagers caught her and beat her up mercilessly and forced her to drink the corpse's wash water. Eventually, when the village ruler heard of Ego's wicked and abominable act, they destroyed her food stand and banished her from ever stepping foot in the village of Useh. Then, they rewarded the staff who exposed Ego's secret ingredients. Do you want to know what happened to Ego after she got banned and had to drink the corpse's wash water? Let us know in the comments.